Hey, I'm Victoria's Wool, and I am a knit designer. I live close to Seattle, Washington. We are in the month of August. I hear the mailman coming. I don't know if you have this problem too, but with so much stuff that we order online now, I can actually, shopping addictions are real. So I'm doing pretty good because I'm not buying any yarn right now. But I definitely have an ear out for the way that our mailman's truck engine sounds and for the way that I can hear it stop in front of the house. And I have that addiction to that. Comment below if you have anything similar. I know not everybody lives in an area where you have a mailman that you can hear coming in a truck, but yeah, I definitely when there's nothing coming, it's totally off topic of what I was going to talk about today, but one of the ways that I've gotten around, motivated myself not to buy yarn or not to shop online so much, is that I try to get to a point when there's nothing coming, I'm not waiting for anything to arrive, and I write down how many things are coming. To this week I have some face oils coming, and what else? There's something, I'm not sure if there's something in the box today actually, but usually I know what day it's gonna come. But when there's nothing coming, I try to keep that, try to keep from ordering anything for as long as possible. I'll track it on my phone and stuff. How long has it been since I did any online ordering? I think I've only gone a week recently. Because even though I'm not buying yarn, I buy other things. Anyway, besides that, the mailman is here. I will go get the mail later. I wanted to come on and, of course, again, talk about this guy. It's my current favorite piece to wear. It also makes a really good blanket, by the way, because as I was knitting it, it just hung on my lap. Which is one of my mom's favorite things about working on something. She was always oh, when I work on this, I'm so warm. So if you guys knit this in the fall, you will be cozy, both as you're knitting it and afterwards. It's in testing right now. It's called Meridian Lines. It's a big square with stripes. I'm just going to keep talking about it because I'm so in love with it. My tassel obsession. How I made these tassels is because they're primarily black, right, with just a little bit of flex. It's just the choice I made when I wanted them to sort of resemble the colors in the shawl. So I think I did 60 wraps around the cardboard total, and I just wrote this the other day. So I did 45, 25 of black, the kettle black colorway, followed by 10 of the pink and 10 of the white. The wheat flower and the peach stone are the colors. And then I did 15 more wraps of black. And it kind of made just these little stripy sections. Some of them weren't maybe as pronounced as that one. But yeah, I really like them. And I did a double head because I kept seeing these online. I'm not sure where. It wasn't as if I was seeing them a lot in knitting and knit stuff, but I thought, well, how do you do that? And I looked it up, and there wasn't a specific video. And I thought, I'll just experiment and try. And all you do is you make the one head and you pull the strands through, and then you make the other head in the exact same way and pull the strands through. So it wasn't complicated, and it didn't take a long time. And I love tassels a lot, so much. How many of my designs have tassels on them? Just 3? I think just 3. I wouldn't mind at all if it became a thing people knew me for. I don't think I'd mind that. If every design had tassels on it. I mean, they would have to be different kinds of tassels to make practical. You could do a cowl with the little ones. They don't tend to, if you just knot them on, fringe, where you just loop it through, it does tend to loosen over time, and so you do need to snug it up. But I don't mind that. So maybe I'll put that in my back pocket and think, could I add tassels to this? Anyway, let me know if you like tassels, if you find them annoying, or just you haven't really made them. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I've definitely had friends tell me that they weren't as into them before I started talking about them so much. So that's fun little flattering thing. But hopefully this will be out in a few weeks. I can't say yet, but as soon as I know, I mean, even if before I put this video up, if I have a date at that time, then I'll put it on the screen. But anyway, that's that guy. And I wanted to come on today to talk about this one because it's still summer. And if you want to do a transition piece, I really like transition pieces. Have I made them before the season? There's like this whole seasonal knitting thing. It's summer, and so we should all knit t-shirts, or it gets really hot, and so you want to knit something smaller, or maybe not, you don't want to knit at all, but socks all of a sudden, and then all the t-shirts that pop up, like when to release those. So I like transitional garments because they allow me to they let me feel like I can knit other things besides t-shirts and socks in the summer, or in preparation for summer, and then I get to wear the piece for longer. I do wear my t-shirts in the winter with other knits, like a cardigan over it, or I'll wear one underneath another sweater or something. But anyway, I like the transitional pieces because you get to wear them for a longer period of time, or all year long, depending on where you live. So this is a Linus shape shawl. This came out last year, 2020. It was really well received. It made me really happy. So you start off in this little corner. I've talked about it a lot, but it recently got a lot of attention again. So I just love talking about it. Starts off with a little garter corner, and it's on the bias. So if you notice, it's not. It's a little hard to tell, but it's not a like perfect triangle. This part starts to swoop, and this part stays straight. So knitting on the bias means that you're adding stitches on one side at the same time that you're taking stitches away from the other side. So it sort of slants, like being biased, right? You're slanting your knitting. And so it grows, and as it grows, I added in between these lace sections, the short little garter interruptions. This lace is super fun. It's like a 3-stitch repeat. It's really easy to memorize. It's also easy to, if you're paying attention to how the knit two together yarn overs, like the order of what the stitches look like when you do that order, it's really easy to keep on track without having to say it out loud or like whatever. I guess it keeps going bigger. There's a 2 sizes. There's a shawlette size and a large size, and I of course made the big one. And the hem that you cast off all at once is garter. The shawlette size is like just perfectly fits wrapped around, would be good for summer, right? And this big one really gives you like one end that's like super long that you can do the cute little knotted thing on. Oop. It's all of a sudden occurring to me, I wondered if I did a podcast last year and talked about this. I can't remember doing that. But if I did, it was last year, so you probably didn't see it, or it's probably been a year, so whatever. Actually made this too high. I'll put it on. I'm attempting to put it on. Okay. So I usually knot one end and then wrap it so that the point it's pointed. It is just a little bit, and that one's sort of off to the side. And then you've got this cutie. Yeah. It's so soft. This is made with a Homespun House yarns. Molly is in Germany, and she makes a single. And it's so nice. Everybody who's used singles, and I know, knows that they're so nice to knit with. And they can't take a lot of abrasion because they're not they're not highly spun, so they tend to like pill a little bit, right? So they're perfect for accessories and such. So it's so soft. It's really nice to knit with. It's nice to wear. Looks really good. This is her rose gold colorway. It has just a little bit of tonal color change. I don't think it's probably coming up on camera terribly well, but it does in person. And as I have previously mentioned, my favorite way to wear it, all of my stuff, almost all of my stuff, is to do many wrappings. But you do want to go down there. But like this. Sure. Yes. No. So that's why it's a transitional thing. Because it can give you a lot more wind and cold protection when you wear it this way than wearing it with the tails in the front. So I like it. I like it a lot. You can wear it over your shoulder, as I've talked about before. I often wear my pieces like that. Probably not this one as much just because of the longer end. But that'll give you the, yes, that's nice too. So that's my Aiaia. Did I mention that that's what it was called? I may have not said the name. I probably did. Is that right side up? Yes. I wrote this pattern in a similar way that I wrote Weeping Blossom. I try to make the sections in the pattern really easy, like repeatable. Like some patterns you can't help but have to write each line out. And for anybody who's new to following patterns, and you see like the confusing of like repeat this many times, repeat that many times, and you're just like, why are you writing it like that? Can't you just write it each? I wanted that when I was a new pattern follower. I wanted all the rows just written out, and it's just a lot of text, which means there's so much more possibility for error if you're writing out everything multiple times. I mean, this has like dozens and dozens of rows in it. So what I try to do when I'm designing is I try to make each section repeatable if I can, so that all I have to write is repeat this section again. You'll have this much, you'll start with these stitches and you'll end with these stitches, this quantity, and then you'll do it again and you'll have this and this. And so that creates for me, and hopefully for you, a very understandable pattern. You know where the pattern is going to go because you've already done it once. You've already done the repeat once. So I'm working on something right now that has 3 different stitch patterns. It's the secret collaboration that I can't talk about. And I sometimes, well, right now I'm just knitting the sample, so I haven't written out I have the rows written out, but I don't have the whole pattern. I just have written out what I've knit. So I'm looking for patterns as I'm writing the rows, like how could I shorten this? How could I condense this? And that one's not going to be not like this. This was just like, hey, there's 4 sections. Yeah, and it seems like, oh, that's really simple, but I actually had to design it that way. Like I had to, it's not as if this just happened to be easily repeatable. I made it repeatable. I think that's probably going to influence my work a lot in the future too, of just, you have to make a pattern. I want to make a pattern that's easy to follow, as opposed to just writing whatever, and then you have to follow whatever. Like, no, it needs to be more easier to follow. So that's the goal, and I think this is probably the most successful in the most simple of the ones that I've done. Meridian Lines has that too. Meridian Lines has a lot of stripe repeats. And I just wrote that pattern, so it was probably one of the fastest I've written. It's relatively quick to write the rows. But something I love about that one is because you don't have to have a certain number of stitches to start the next stripe. If you miss an increase or decrease, depending on whether you're making the square bigger or smaller, it doesn't make a huge difference. So like stitch count is important if you want to make a shawl this size, but it's not like if you have one over, like, oh, you don't have to tear it back at all. So I was just like, it's just a relief to not have to focus on it in that way. Whereas I think the floating blossom I talked about on the podcast last time, this one's stitch count dependent. You have to have them to make things be in the right spot. You gotta have the right number of stitches on pretty much every row. So that has become less and less of a problem as I've gotten more experienced as a knitter. I've had the wrong stitch count a lot before, and so as I'm designing things and keeping track of each stitch count for each section to make sure that I give you the right numbers, I am surprised more and more that I'm on it. I'm like not off at all, which is great. It's really fun to look back and see how much progress I've made from when I first started following patterns. And I tried to knit that first sweater, which I knit twice. I might talk about it on the podcast someday. It's a good pattern. I just had no idea what I was doing. It's from, I'm going too long already. I'll talk about it next time. It's in this last knitted gifts by Joelle Hoverson. She knit she wrote this book and a follow-up second volume. But anyway, that's when I think about learning to follow patterns, that's the pattern I think of, because I specifically remember where I was living, and when I remember looking at the page in the book and being like, I don't have any idea what's going on here. Like, I have to do what? And so I came back a year later and had to take out everything I'd done, and it's amazing how much you can learn in a short period of time, how much more patterns make sense and everything. That's probably one of the most exciting things about knitting for me, is being able to take on challenging stuff and do it well and be surprised that you're doing it so well. I'm always surprised, like, oh, this is going to be hard. Like I just seamed Goody, which is over there, by Julie Hoover, which is a t-shirt you knit flat and then you seam together, and I was nervous to seam, but I did so well. And it looks great. And I'm like, I'm still concerned about new things, even though I've seamed a little bit before. And but when you have experience, you're gonna do okay. That's what I need to change the way I think about it. I mean, like, I've been able to do all this other stuff, so I think I'll be fine. Anyway, this is Aiaia. You can find it on victoriouswool.com and on Ravelry, and you can find me on Instagram at victoriouswool. You can email me at victoriouswool@gmail.com if you have any pattern questions. And you can subscribe to this channel so that other knitters can find my videos and my patterns. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.